And this video is to address the grievous reality that CharlesDowell Jr. has faked polygyny. What do you mean by that? He has used polygyny as a front to mask and cover up his doings that are illegitimate in the sight of the Most High, of Yahweh, because he has taken all these other females and used them for his desire, especially against the grounds for marriage to be conducted properly, and in doing so, he has masked all of his wickedness, while those who actually do practice polygyny, they were either, at StraitwayTruthMinistry, either had to leave with their Ishayas or be hushed up and keep it hush-hush with the rest of them when CharlesDowell Jr. introduced the teaching of polygyny to his quote-unquote 501c3 that is trying to be a religious institution. Because many people are learning more and more of his doings, and because he wants the foot off his neck, let's keep it there, because the proverbial boot on the neck is needed to keep those demons in their place and to keep the devil fleeing, because judgment is drawing closer and closer each day unto him. As it is, even though they cut themselves, even though they shout, holler, scream, and make a tumult, their fathers can be fleeing far from them, because they know that those false prophets are none. Not just the chiefest of the false prophets, CharlesDowell Jr., but also all those who are all together with them are false prophets. All these people who said X, Y, and Z is going to happen to the people who are no longer part of StraitwayTruthMinistry. So, what's going to happen to Corey Phillips? What's going to happen to Daniel Beer? What's going to happen to Bud Freshler? What's going to happen to Ellis? TJ Klebitz? As well as the rest of them who have been running their mouths, including Vernon. What's going to happen to all these false prophets over there at StraitwayTruthMinistry who are all together with CharlesDowell Jr.? Even though they pray, they try to say the name Jesus, they try to say the name of Yahweh, and even though they try to go in secret and do their many forms of witchcraft and call the name of fallen angels and try to raise them up and get them involved, it's too late for them. Time's up for them. No matter how much they try it, they can't deliver themselves from the hand of Al Shadi. So, those devils over there, including Kabir, who have been abusing polygyny, taking something as pure, righteous, and upright, something that the Most High clarified, made clear, and gave to be used in a righteous manner, and these heathens over there at StraitwayTruthMinistry try to call itself of the Most High, but it's a 501c3 connected all the way back to Babylon, to the Catholic Church. And it's a government entity as well too, because it's a 501c3. Those heathens have taken polygyny and perverted it for themselves, and done everything they can to, just like the Catholic Church, try to harden the hearts of people to turn them away from the faith, so that they can gloat in their wickedness and their pride and haughtiness, and not forgetting they're Satanists over there, so they gotta look for something to kill, steal, and destroy, because they are out their father, the devil. And their time is about to be known, so that when people see it happen, they will be without excuse. Those who wanted CharlesDowell Jr. to repent, as well as those who prayed for CharlesDowell Jr. The time will be revealed. Because those unions he has taken, they turn around and try to say that he's a man of polygyny, and he's a man at X, Y, and Z. Try to put forth all this example, and try to say that he's the example of polygyny. The truth is not in him. The truth is not in CharlesDowell Jr. That heathen is a liar. And let's start with the first case, of course. CharlesDowell Jr. applied himself to do adultery because a lot of us out here in the world, as well as those who are in Eastern cultures, third world countries, and fifth world countries of different sorts, different areas where you're the faith, and those who are learning out of faith, who are all the four quarters of the earth here. So here's the thing. You're going to find out that at some point that we have an example what a real man is, defined by Yahweh Elohim, and what a real woman is, defined by Yahweh Elohim, especially by the scriptures. And when you see an example too, you will learn that a real man does not take a woman or a female from another man, especially if she's being courted by another man. That is animalistic stuff. And the Most High, when he made humanity, when he made Adam and Eve, man and woman, after the man, he made man is supposed to be over authority of creation. Man is not supposed to operate on the level of the beast, of the creatures of the field. However, you have heathens who apparently were somewhere along the lineage of their bloodline or somewhere, originate from the caves. So that's why you see all these universities and colleges preaching evolution, because those people who came over here and conquered this land, apparently some of them came from the caves. That's why they believe that they're, cavemen as such, because they're basically telling themselves. They're trying to teach their own kind where they came from. Well, those who look at this stuff and realize, what in the world am I looking at and listening to? That is not your heritage at all. Those are cavemen over there in modern day clothing. Well, some of you out here, you have ancestors from Ham, Shem, and Japhet, especially those who are, at some amounts, have ancestors who are Israelites, and those who are on the line of Shem as well, especially those who have had dealings with the natural born Israelites, as well as those of the faith, because so much revisionist history has been done to take away the knowledge of the truth. If people knew real history, we would not be driving cars. We would be flying in aircraft, hoverboards, free water, free food, free housing, space age technology that you see in the movies, as well as people who can actually think, comprehend, and communicate, and so forth. You would learn that you have so much history behind you that was covered up, especially with the destruction of old civilization that was legitimate as well too. There was so much useful technology and information back in the days until the conquerors came in and started destroying just about everything they can to rewrite history so that they can write their history. That's why you have all these gaps by hundreds of years, and they try to tell you that it took all these years to invent, electricity and everything. These people be talking out the sides of their necks. I tell you, people. This stuff that's some caveman stuff, I tell you. That's some caveman logic. Yeah, how long did it take a caveman to rub two rocks together to create fire? Oh boy, let's not get started. Those demons are pretty upset at those people listening to this video right now, aren't they, huh? I rebuke you, foul and unclean spirits, in the name of Jesus. So back into the point here. That's some barbaric stuff right there. For a male to take a female from another man by seducing her, by trying to entice her with the things of this world. See, you're going to find out, people, what kind of woman you have. Is she legit? Or is she just living off of what you provide? Is she just existing? Or does she have a purpose in life? Because you could go reread the Proverbs as well as read it to the Psalms and find out that there are actual women out there who are looking for a man to provide, and then you're going to end up finding out about females who were just with a man until they found someone that's got deeper pockets, that's got more emotions, feeling, and smooth talk, who's got more of a so-called precision of quote-unquote power. So there's earthly, sensualish, devilish males out there, and there's females that are attracted to that kind of stuff, including cave women. Sometimes some of you melanated people just gotta stay away from the Caucasian woman, because some of them are straight up cave women who are just looking to use you up for their status and gain, and when they're done with you, toss you to the curb. Rest your bones somewhere and forget about you like you never existed. Because there's just some females out there who are not only just Caucasian, per se, of light skin, even albino, but there's different hues of women out there too, that some lack a soul at all. So don't be surprised if, quote unquote cave women over these generations have different hues to their skin, but they just don't have a soul at all, period. You'd be surprised what's happened through these many years. So, we have a female who's supposed to be loyal to our legitimate Hebrew man, such as Eric Gonzales, and you have Nelly, who gets smooth talked by a money swindler, a money swindling false prophet who scares people half to death so they can jump out of their jobs, jump out of their business, jump out of their livelihoods, sell all that they have, and hand it over to the false prophet CharlesDowell Jr. so that they can supposedly escape doomsday. 2012 has passed, as spoken of, as well as China potentially invading America these past 2010s, as well as Russia trying to go to war with America these past 2010s and so forth, especially when Biden got in office and there was supposedly Chinese ships out there by the west part of the America seas. So the Pacific coast of America, the Pacific Ocean, the Chinese been over there. World War III didn't happen yet like that, so false prophet CharlesDowell Jr. has been enticing people left or right to jump out the cities, liquidate all their assets and whatever they have, and hand it over to him. And he would sell people through false advertisement on his YouTube videos that he would supposedly take care of people, as well as to buy up all those lands in the countryside to set people free from the system. But in reality, he's putting them into his system that he learned from Jim Jones and R.G. Stair, and use that money to live on the high hog. So what does he do with that money? He uses it to entice women, and then he smooth talks them, introduces them to the ropes to really get in their ears and convince them that this life that he's trying to present to them is better than the life that they have with whoever they were or was with or about, so that he could convince them to get divorced or get separated and get with him, thinking they're going to be set for life. Everything's peaches and creams. They're going to be living in a so-called heaven on earth, living on clouds 9 and everything else. And as soon as they take the package deal and they run along with the process for a good while, they start to find out that the honeymoon was actually a disguise for the nightmare that they are going to be living through and have been experiencing as it is these many years. So, Nelly was persuaded by CharlesDowell Jr. and any other woman he got involved with to speak on his behalf, to entice her, indoctrinate her, evilly brainwash her, to do some mind control, some MK Ultra level influence on her, to convince her that if she divorced Eric Gonzales, that she's going to get the best life she could ever attain. And the thing too is that Eric Gonzales, with all the receipts that came out over the many months, he sent some hard assets, heavy metals, such as gold and silver as spoken of, money, and whatever he could do to send, to support, to take care of his house over there, his household that was supposed to be watched over by StraitwayTruthMinistry. However, with that, CharlesDowell took his gold and silver and pocketed it for himself, and whatever else he sent to, he pocketed for himself, and then he put a restraining order on Eric Gonzales to take not only his wife away from him, his woman, but also to take away the children, so that he could flip those children for financial gain too, to sell off the daughter to what's his name? To that snake in the grass, Mitchell Malone, who decided to go to the Passover 2025 when he was supposed to be separated from Straitway. So, Mitchell Malone, as well as Gregory Malone, are selling themselves up for judgment with StraitwayTruthMinistry. Because they did not want to separate, they still want to go with the plan. Also, he took the son of Dowell and Eric Gonzales and used them for slave labor, for the property upkeep, as well as to do whatever he can to enhance the value of his properties underneath his 501c3 foundation that Kabir taught him to use. Because those people are Satanists, so they have ear between their ears. So as a result, he's doing tax evasion as well as other forms of fraud to amass all these billions of dollars and hold on to it, and whatever people he owes money, try to kick him out of the ministry and try to hide their money from them so that he doesn't have to pay him back, supposedly, is what he thinks. But he's got it one way or another. So he owes millions on top of millions of dollars, and to all these people he's ripped off and cheated and stolen from. And then the government and all these agencies come last afterwards, after the restitution has been paid in full. And that includes for the finances and damages and restitution for even Eric Gonzales himself too. He's getting boatloads of money too, and whatever new wife and children he's got, if he does, that money's gonna have to go down to his inheritance, because CharlesDowell Jr. has ripped off, cheated, and pocketed the money that Eric Gonzales set for provisions of his household to show his responsibility as a man. And that barbarian savage, that caveman who should have present himself out as a Israelite, as a Hebrew, as a melanated man, CharlesDowell Jr. He straight up, like the devil, seduced that woman, Nelly Gonzales, just so that he could take her for himself for his sensual pleasure. And see what he's about as it is, and as manifested of himself. All this charismatic stuff he has done to look and appear as a man of the faith, he is full of dead man's bones and a whitewashed tube. Because he's been trying to cover up his carnality, his earthly, sensual, devilish nature, so that he could go around and sport himself to his own destruction. And so in doing so, to cover up his tracks, he decided to get interested and start to teach polygyny, just so that he could justify his adultery. And if the very fine detail is that when he was being punished for what he did, the people could have just left it alone, not pray for him, and just let him give up the ghost, or otherwise go return back to the dust that he came from. However, people decided to pray for him and allow him to continue to do his evil. So Allah's going to be factored in there as it is. All this evil that they've done, and these people who have co-signed with him still, as StraitwayTruthMinistry, who are still all together with him. So Nelly, quote unquote, being his second Ishaya, is fraudulent. Oh yeah, let's not also forget too, this is a very pivotal point. He used to talk a whole lot of trash. He used to preach it up and down, left and right, of how you need to stay away from single moms because they're trouble. They are X, Y, and Z. This factor, that factor. Just don't even toy with a single mom at all, period. Go get you a virgin. But when he got with Nelly, he said, well, some single moms are not all that bad and so forth. As long as they can focus on the man and not just be selfish and think about only the children and themselves. And he stood on that for all these years. That's a demon inside that vessel. And a whole lot more demons in that vessel that has to be evicted at some point. Those demons belong to Tartarus, huh? Oh yeah, how's the song go? Tartarus, a horrible place, filled with shame and disgrace. You'll never see another face. Tartarus is a horrible place. You gonna go there? Tartarus is a horrible place, filled with shame and disgrace. You'll never see another face. So, wife number 2, Ishaya, number 2, checked off as fraudulent. Number 3, this is a quick one, Summer. See, Summer could have been married to someone else. And the thing too is that her father and mother was allowed to be around the ministry to know of some matters. So over there at the Straightway the Rock, where what was his name? Robert. Robert was over. So that piece of land right there, where there's a house on it, that was supposed to be used for Robert and his household, that was turned into a summer house or a vacation house for CharlesDowell Jr. to go on vacation to. Instead of it being used for the community as it's supposed to. So as a result, what's happened is that CharlesDowell tried to sit down with the father and mother of Summer, and what happened is that the father and mother still said no concerning that union. And what happened is that as much as CharlesDowell likes to accuse people of being presumptuous, CharlesDowell Jr. decided to be self-willed and presumptuous as that he is, to take Summer and to go lay with her, to make her his quote-unquote third Isaiah. And the thing too is that the father and mother said no at the beginning of the whole, before he even lay with her, pretty much. So the whole case of the union, the family did not agree, but he still went into her anyway. He still seduced her and went to work on her. And the thing too is that if she actually was a virgin, you know what that means too? CharlesDowell Jr. owes that family 50 shekels of silver, a value. Oh yeah, let's not forget too, whatever else will be included in adultery. And because the father said no, oh yeah, that's right. This is where it gets very, very interesting, very particular. Summer would have to leave StraitwayTruthMinistry and go back to her father's house, or wherever she was residing at before she joined Straightway. That means that the father would have to receive all that silver or money in value, and then Summer would have to leave StraitwayTruthMinistry and continue the faith without CharlesDowell Jr. being up in her ear or any one of his thirsty slaves, one of his thirsty cronies trying to get into her next. Guess those are some sick bastards over there. If they knew Yahweh Elohim, they would not behave themselves as such. But they say they know him, but their hearts are far from him. And they do such things as if they're not going to be chastised for it, so they are going to continue to do their wickedness with their seared consciousness, with a seared conscience and a reprobate mind, and a bunch of them. So they live as if they don't know Yahweh, as if there's no chastisement for them at all. So if they're without chastisement, they are bastards in his sight. And here's the thing too, and that whole pastor appreciation celebration, even we have to go there too now. People feel bad for Mother Carol. And here's the thing. If Carol wanted the best for Summer, she could have just encouraged her and helped her to leave StraitwayTruthMinistry and give her some money to get back on her feet and set her on her way. However, Mother Carol has been enjoying the fellowship, the quote-unquote fellowship, that quote-unquote Straightway Truth Ministry sells, advertises, merchandises to people, and they were to sell all that they have and come to join Straightway Truth Ministry and hand over all their money and their assets and whatever they have and really become slaves, pretty much third to fifth world slaves on those private properties of CharlesDowell Jr. So instead of Mother Carol helping Summer to leave Straightway Truth Ministry to continue her life in the faith outside of the actual cult that was made off the mind of Jim Jones and R.G. Stair and funded by R.G. Stair, and CharlesDowell decided to burn bridges with R.G. Stair to keep the property and the money and let R.G. Stair just run in court, run in the courting procedure until what happened with R.G. Stair happened. And to brush off too, he's so you could go to the videos too of CharlesDowell Jr.'s YouTube videos. He was still addressing him as, that's right, CharlesDowell Jr. addressed R.G. Stair as Brother Stair. And when the judgment was completed with R.G. Stair, where he passed away, he was scoffing, he was trash talking. Those spirits of Leviathan were rising up at CharlesDowell Jr. Talk about how, oh yeah, people try to associate him with R.G. Stair. Whatever. Try to make a difference between him and R.G. Stair by trying to brush it off. And just because he scoffs at it, say, whatever about it, and paraphrase his words there too, trying to make people think that he's clear, that he's innocent. You're about to find out why he's a little too similar to R.G. Stair in a couple minutes here. So, P. Diddy Dowell here, he has worked on the women to help other women, ladies, and females who go there to also be indoctrinated and evilly influenced, evilly be brainwashed, and have their minds controlled to such an extent to where they are going to go along with the programming instead of using the mind that the Father gave them, as well as if they actually were born again of the Ruach HaKodesh, to listen to the Ruach HaKodesh, communicate to them, and lead them, warn them, and instruct them, so that they can get clear of the wickedness. Mother Carol helped Summer to stay at Straightway Truth Ministry. As much as we have people still try to give props to Mother Carol on other points, and she did do her part in many areas that's commanded of her, you still have to consider and look ahead, look at the judgment when the books are opened, and the thoughts and intents of people's hearts are going to be revealed, and the truth and the reality that matters that happened and transpired in time, the times past as well as these times recently. What really happened is secret. The thought and intents, the motive, the gain, as well as the results, and what it led to, and so forth. All the ins and outs of it, when the books get opened and people don't repent of their stuff, repent today while it's still opportune for you to get it covered in the blood of the Lamb, the bruises of the blood of the Lamb, and the water poured of the blood of the Lamb. If need be, have those demons cast out of you too, so that you can be set free. And at the judgment, those who are born again of the Torah YHWH and endure to the end, and wherever their lot falls at, whether it be while they're still on this road, or when Yahshua HaMashiach, also known as Jesus Christ, comes back in the clouds with great power and great glory. Be ready. Get your garments ready. Get suited and booted for the coming of the King. Because right here with summer, that situation could have been dealt with right then and there, as soon as possible. However, summer was kept there and encouraged to stay there, and Mother Carol was enjoying fellowship, quote-unquote, sisterhood with Summer, another melanated woman that she could relate to, especially it said that underneath the roof of CharlesDowell Jr.'s house, underneath his household, before considering any other sisters to the land. And I think too is that CharlesDowell Jr. used to be a part of Overcomer's ministry, so some of those unclean birds are originators or part of the beginning crew at StraitwayTruthMinistry. So it's a challenge to relate to some of those brainwashed puppets who came from Overcomer's ministry, who think that listening to someone who's like Jim Jones and like RG Stair is their salvation, their solution to life, their way to get to the kingdom. They are greatly deceived. So looking for someone who's more innocent and tangible, who's impressionable in the mind, to learn Hebrew culture, and it has to be agreeable so that they can communicate and touch that individual and have them around so that they have something in common. Because as it is, when you go look at the years of footage of how he would talk about Carol, about Mother Carol, especially about that song that she made. And what's the name of that song? I just want to thank you for being a friend. And that's like a praise song. And CharlesDowell Jr. basically trashed her over that song, trying to call it like a depressive song. That people are gonna try to say that people are gonna have a case of melancholy if they were to listen to that kind of music or listen to her song. Trying to say that they would get the wrong kind of spirit, all of them, for listening to her song. And then turn around and what else? Trash her for getting older. Talk about how her body isn't as firm as it used to be. As such, That's a damn caveman right there on the pulpit. And it's damn because from dust it was, to dust it will return. That's a soulless creature up there. Trying to convince you that it's all that and a bag of chips. So with Summer there, that third union is also illegitimate. And those children, the Most High knows. It's about a demons. That's a CharlesDowell Jr. And also, if you go look at the testimony video, where Nelly is wearing that red head covering, the red scarf, the red garb. Go back and rewatch that video, that testimony video, where she, if I remember correctly, it's a blue shirt or so. She was wearing a blue shirt or whatever it was with it, and she specifically wore a red head covering. The reason why is because when you go watch that video and you pay attention to the facial expressions, the quote-unquote body language, especially in the face, you're going to see some black eyes. Those of you who are in a deliverance ministry know that when you see black eyes, those are demons that are rising up to the surface in a person. And when you're trying to cast them out of a person, you have to poke at those demons and keep poking at them and go to work on them until they're defeated. And whatever reasons they have to remain there, especially how curses are broken too, in the name of Jesus, then they can be cast out and removed out of that person. And then that black in the middle of their eyes, that pupil, can be contracted back to the original position. Because when there's no whites in the eyes, it's all black. And especially when you watch scary movies and all that kind of stuff too, or whatever knowledge you have of the quote-unquote paranormal and the such, that's when you know there's a demon active in that body that's risen up to the surface. When there's no whites, it's just all black. So when you go rewatch that video, you're gonna notice that Nelly's got some serious demons in the eyes. Yeah, he really lit her up with some serious demons, trust of some evil spirits. Just so that he could enjoy her body. And the thing too is that all those people in that land, they talk about how, oh yeah, that law, baby, for the show, what's up? Oh, how I love thy law. And all this talk, you religious devils, I put you on notice in the name of Jesus. All you people who say that you love the law so much, and how you talk about how if someone's an adulterer, they should be put to death, and how in the Torah this happened, in the Old Testament this happened, as well as other points of the scriptures, especially the Apocrypha, when people try to commit adultery or satisfy their adulterous lust, how they were put to death, and if there was a whoremonger, they're trying to snatch up some kind of woman, they'll be put to death, and so forth. What are you waiting for? You have a whoremonger and an adulterer on that land over there, and you're on, quote, supposedly private property. What's holding you back from doing the justice of the law, the judgment of the Torah? What's holding you back from judging that evil in your midst? Why are you not putting the evil out of your midst? Why are you suffering an adulterer, an adulteress, as well as a whoremonger, and as such? Also, why are you suffering the witch to live? You over there, with all the stuff that's given to you, you have all sorts of means to carry out that justice. Oh yeah, plenty of people know that you are packing heat, that you're packing lethal weapons, self-defense, and all that such, and how you're supposedly so zealous for the law. So why are you not dealing with an adulterer, an adulteress accordingly? And especially if some of you say that you have the Ruach HaKodesh, so why are you not being led to deal with an adulterer, an adulteress, especially a whoremonger in your midst accordingly? Being led by the Ruach HaKodesh to deal with an adulterer, an adulteress, whoremonger, and such in your land? Supposedly it's your land that you're all supposed to, have all things in common and no man call his own. So what's really keeping you back from judging the adulterer, the adulteress, especially judging the whoremonger in your midst? Because there's a judgment for a man set up a woman and she refuses to that action, grape juice, just juicing the whole vine up, and the woman shouts and screams and this night and says no, doesn't consent. So that means that even in the field too, where she does not consent either, you know what that judgment is in the Torah, the law. So why are you two-faced hypocrites over there not doing what needs to be done? So again, what are you waiting for? Judge the adulterer, the adulteress, and judge the whoremonger. So back into this. So summer is also an illegitimate Ishaya of CharlesDowell Jr. And not forgetting, Nellie's got some serious demons in her eyes too. So she's surrounded with some serious spirits in there, especially Jezebel. And whatever spirits he encouraged her to invite back into her to have and to manifest for him, especially to satisfy his demonic lust. Because I was listening to some very interesting material. There's certain things that when a guy and a lady consummates, doing the wrong type of things can invite certain spirits in. So that stuff, as well as the women over there being involved in practicing witchcraft over there on those lands. Oh and oh for them. Because you have a supposed leader over there who's got at least one witch doing her craft at his house. And again, people say, oh, well, saints, I hear some, weird laughter outside my house, and, there was some flickering in the house, and, saints, you should pray for me, saints, because there's witches doing witchcraft at StraitwayTruthMinistry. When he's sitting there getting people to waste their time and energy and make them pray for the wrong things for the wrong reasons, when he's got a witch in his household. And he's a witch himself, CharlesDowell Jr. So, Summer to lay with that unclean beast, that savage, that caveman, that soulless creature, and whatever else is going on with her, even though Mother Carol's enjoying her company over there on the land, things could have been very different if Mother Carol helped her to get off that land and get back to her household, wherever she originated from, and to get back on her feet, so that whatever the Father's will would be done in her life would be brought forth. Instead of the selfish will of CharlesDowell Jr. and all the other trouble that has followed from being submitted to CharlesDowell Jr. Summer being submitted to CharlesDowell Jr. Because she should have known better than to lay with that filthy savage and to be enticed and seduced by that creature. And the stuff she would know, she's got some serious beans she could be spilling right now. It could have been spilling too. And then they have children with that thing. Do those children have souls? I wonder. And, oh yeah, let's not forget too, she had complication with having both of them too. What if she wants to have a third child that, the Most High just cut off right then and there and said, enough. And she, her life was required of her during pregnancy, or in the whole process of trying to conceive. Because what's her name? Rachel. You have Leah and Rachel, and the two concubines who were given as wives, or the two slaves who were given as wives to Israel, to Jacob. So Rachel, because she took her dad's idol, so that Laban would not figure out where they would offer to, and that demon inside that idol, that we're looking idol, would not tell Laban information that he would know to try to do evil towards Jacob. Jacob made an oath, a swearing, and so what happened is she didn't say anything to try to deliver herself in that situation. She stood in her place to try to cover Jacob, and eventually she died. So Lee just ended up with the fever, while Rachel, she had her life required of her because of that oath that stood on his household. So it'd be a shame if CharlesDowell tried to impregnate Summer to make her pregnant a third time. To try to impregnate her to make her pregnant for the third time. And the Most High decides to judge that, instead of letting that happen, or whatever else could happen in the middle, as it is. Because things can happen when the Most High is going to judge something. He has impressive ways to judge someone, to put them to open shame, even to conclude the matter and close that book on that person's situation. And if most be required of it, then Did it be their life? Some people, they do things, they go along with it, and things happen to people, they get judged with it. They become collateral. So these two other women these two other adults, females, who were taken into the hands of CharlesDowell Jr. illegitimately, are disqualified as quote-unquote Ishayas. They're more like his side pieces, to put it in modern day slang, that people like to put it that way. They're more of his, they're just more used for his pleasure, for his desires to expand his ego. And those who are wondering, there are legitimate polygynist relationships in history, as well as different points of time. And even today, there are legitimate polygynist relationships, so check yourself before you get tripped up there and have to repent of it. So humble yourself instead of being hasty and going the wrong direction with that matter. Now, third here, so third, with her, it's a shame. It is a big shame. She could have been married off to someone else. However, Selena, as the more light-skinned, quote-unquote, melanated woman, the more mulatto-looking one, Selena, she could have been married off to an actual man in the ministry in his position. She could have been married off to someone else who could have covered her as it is. And upon finding out how StraitwayTruthMinistry really is, then both of them could have perhaps left StraitwayTruthMinistry together and got free from the oppression and the evil, the whole false advertisement, the false dream, the false vision. However, if you go back to the law and read about where a woman is espoused to a man, and if another guy wants to show up and lay with her, then that situation has to be investigated to find out what's really going on with it at the scene of the judgment, at the judges. So the judges are supposed to investigate the matter, and investigating the whole situation, find out what is the truth of the matter, so that they can be dealt with accordingly. So yeah, CharlesDowell Jr. took Selena, a lady who was not a virgin at all, and when she was in his sight, on his quote-unquote radar, she was 16. Yeah, the spirit of R.G. Stair started to rise up at CharlesDowell Jr. And to mask it too, with the whole arguing, the whole drama that happened in his household, he kicked her out of the ministry as it was, kicked her off the land, and she could have been on her way to find someone else to cover her. That way she would have been in the clear. However, because of the indoctrination and all the stuff he's been working on her. See, here's the thing. This is why the father, the dad, who's going to be actual man on behalf of the woman, to go expect another male to find out if it's just, to go expect another guy to find out if it's a male, a beta male, or if it's an actual man, to decide from there if he's going to allow him to have his daughter. They have to find out what kind of guy that is. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. There are some wicked people out there in the world, including Satanists, who have some kind of virtue about them. So, not every wicked one is complete throwaway. They have some kind of level of virtue, something that to where, you know, you can't have peace with all men. So, even if they don't want to have beef with you, one thing to have on the level of humanity to just go about your merry way. That way, you're not trying to cause beef and then turn around and get into spiritual warfare because you start the whole situation because you went contrary in the matter. There are some actual people who are wicked that may want to convert and think about converting. When they find a real, legitimate Hebrew, someone who's born again of the Ruach HaKodesh, and being led by the Ruach HaKodesh, it expresses, it shows the nature of the Father. So there are wicked ones, small or great, who can consider and think and realize, hey, wait a minute, what is that? I can't really put my mind on it and really grasp what is that, but just, wow, what is it? Just drawn to it. And whatever it is that the Father is working through such a servant of His, they can be drawn to the light of the Father and perhaps be converted, and if possible, become a potential ally of the faith, so that they may take heed, consider, so that at the time given, perhaps they may be one of those people who grabs the garments, the tzitzit of a Yehudi, a Hebrew Israelite, actual Israelite, and say, hey, come, let us go with you to the mountain of Yahweh and learn of His law. Teach us His Torah, His ways, as specifically shown from the prophets. So, in the exact, the people who could be potentially converted last minute, that they may take heed and seek Yahweh and know that His ways are higher than their ways. And then you have people of different areas where they can get a clue and realize that what they're dealing with is something's going on. And to have someone such as CharlesDowell Jr. go to work on a teenager who's not even a virgin, and on top of it too, he's into the dark arts, so he could probably go look at those books that he's got in his library and cast some love spells on the woman or such. Oh boy. And then she's crawling back, just desiring CharlesDowell Jr. and she was underneath the protection. She was being helped out, and still she wanted to go right back to CharlesDowell Jr. because of undisclosed reasons such as an evil soul tie, as well as whatever kind of spells, enchantments, beguiling, witchcraft, and seductions, or whatever else he may have been doing on her too on the down low, behind the scenes. Oh yeah, let's not forget too, some people who are into different forms of the dark arts like to try to, astral project, do projection, as well as do types of forms of witchcraft to show up in people's dreams to entice them and everything else. That two-legged devil and StraitwayTruthMinistry that it's just going out in the open sport itself, and people are doing nothing about it over there. She ran back to that two-legged devil. And the thing too is that when she decided to go lay in bed with that thing, she was at least 18 years old at that point afterwards. But as far as being on his radar, and he wanted to go lay with her, she was not even an adult yet at that time. So, and that whole process of taking her from someone else and trying to have her for himself, trying to take all these swords that he could try to get from everyone else for himself, these three that he has next to Carol, those three that he has, trying to call them as Ishaias, are illegitimate. And when it comes to the baraka, the good reward of marriage, considering those unions, it's not there. Those children that CharlesDowell Jr. has had through those women, those adults, females, they're at risk. They're within the boundaries of having judgment come upon them too. And because the evil that CharlesDowell Jr. has done unto Pastor Rufus, CharlesDowell Jr., according to Psalms 109, his children run the risk, if they're allowed to be kept alive, to go live on the streets in poverty and expect to live on handouts. So, all these unions that CharlesDowell Jr. has amassed, up to 4 in total, the 3 that he has had after Mother Carol are illegitimate. Those are not Ishaias. Those are his side pieces, his tools of pleasure, before you even talk about his concubines that he has for himself. Those women that he uses for his pleasure and his ego. And he's got those millions of dollars that he's taken from people and lied, cheated, deceived, and kicked out a good amount of the people off his properties and kept their money, just so that he could spend it as he sees fit for himself and try to throw a little here and there just to look good in front of people and to convince people that he's taking care of them, taking care of their projects and so forth. He's done. He's finished. And those adult females that got with him are legitimate unions. They're at risk of being partakers of his judgment that's going to be completed and satisfied.